It is now 7 o'clock right here on the family station Love 101. Stay tuned now for the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you're overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-800, UK 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and the YouTube Live. In the first watch today, matter of mob violence. In the second watch, celebrating International Nurses Day. For our social media question we ask, besides government intervention, how can mob violence be controlled? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's our quote.
All right, so I code for this morning. Let me go to that. I attribute my success to this. I never gave nor took any excuse. Florence Nightingale.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Good morning, Roshane. How are you this morning?
I am doing well, and actually, I'm giving God thanks,
Yes, there's water in the pipe. More
Yes,
water.
I'm not sure if it's for everybody, but for me, I was excited when I saw it. I believe it came yesterday in the evening there, somewhere there.
Yes, and of course, that quotation came from Florence Nightingale, the quintessential leader of the nurses over the years.
Yes.
Right. I was wondering, Roshane, with those who sort of suffered and endured the 2 days without having water.
Mhm.
There are many in Jamaica who, for many years, didn't have any water in the pipe at all.
Yes.
So we need to bear that in mind.
Mhm.
How difficult it is for many persons. Anyway, we give God thanks for small mercies, eh?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. The first watch will be back after this break.
All right, thank you.
In need of security service with reasonable prices and good customer service? Contact Hummingbird Security Company Limited. We provide unarmed security, 24-hour guard dog service, and more. For information, WhatsApp 876-855-9171 or call 876-791-4765 to A Caledonia Avenue, Kingston 5. Hummingbird Security Company Limited, building a safer Jamaica.
I choose to start this year smiling with Colgate-Palmolive. By purchasing selected Colgate-Palmolive products at participating stores, receive premiums or samples. Promotion available from February 1st to March 17th. Go on, what are you waiting for? Start this year smiling with Colgate-Palmolive.
I'm advice I don't know all this shot and tally. I have a message to everyone. Get vaccinated. Hey, tourism the main driver of the local economy. It provides us with jobs, save the country. So everybody in the industry, get the job and come follow me. It don't hurt to the nerd. Lick the nurse cause the vaccine work. Get vaccinated. This is a message from the Ministry of Tourism. Get vaccinated. Just get vaccinated. You're deaf?
Can a child's sickness or disorder affect a marriage? Why would it? What happens when your sick child now causes sickness in your marriage? The Truly Marvelous program To Have and To Hold would like to help you save your marriage. This Thursday, May 12 at 5:30 p.m., join host Colleen Beckles and co-host Pastor Napoleon Black as they take a look at how to stay married when your child is ill or has a disorder. That's To Have and To Hold, this and every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Last week, Mr. Chieftain Campbell was reportedly killed by a violent mob after being accused of stealing money. However, reports are now surfacing that those were false accusations. What's it with mob violence here in Jamaica? And why does it seem as if it's happening more and more? What can we, both citizens and authorities, do to control it? Can it even be controlled? To discuss these matters, we have online Dr. Lakem Samaj, psychologist, founder and chief ideator of Above and Beyond. And we hope to be joined by a police officer soon in the discussion. Good morning to you.
Good morning,
Dr. Samaj. Morning to you, Dr. Samaj. Can you hear me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good. How are you this morning?
I am alive and well, and give thanks for water in the pipes.
I was going to ask, That's good news. That's good news. All right. We're talking about mob violence, and one wonders, what are the main psychological dynamics and factors influencing such behavior as you see it, Dr. Samaj?
There are a number of factors. But let's start with the broadest one. I don't think many Jamaicans understand what a state is. This political configuration called a state is one in which the government has a monopoly on violence. When you have warlords and you have what you call dons and so on, where they determine who live or die. But a state government has a monopoly on violence, meaning that nobody can be violent against another member of the state without the government's permission, meaning that you have to be tried, convicted, sentenced, and then you will be punished or you will be killed or whatever you. So that a lot of people in Jamaica believe that any kind of justice is in their own hands. So that even at the beginning of the statement, you mentioned that he was wrongly accused. But what if he was responsible for stealing? That's not the penalty for stealing, death, right? So we can't even go there. Right. So the whole issue of that it is not up to us to be violent against other members of our society. You can apprehend the person, you can turn it over to the authorities or what have you. That's one. Other direction now, there's this thing called crowd psychology, where in a crowd there is diminished responsibility. What one person would not do on their own, 10 will do, because now the responsibility now is divided by tenfold. It's not you one doing it. It's not you alone doing it. And this can be done in different ways. But once it starts, once one person makes a suggestion and ignites it, it spreads like a flame.
Wildfire.
Other people now participate. The other dimension we can add to it now is social media. Remember long ago when a dispute started, I mean back in my school days, so a dispute started, somebody would step in and say, oh, break it up, man, we can't do that, man, we can't do that. Somebody would intervene and suggest a better way of dealing with things. Now, everyone pulls out the camera and steps back because they want to capture excitement. So that we are in a very serious situation where once these things happen, and by the way, this is a long-standing reality. In one radio, there's a classic story when way back into the 60s, I think, in the United States, Kitty Genovese case, where a woman was being murdered on the street on Central Park, and people are just looking outside their windows, and nobody called the police, nobody intervened, because everyone, again, same diminished responsibility. Everybody assumes somebody else will do it. So it works in many directions. So we really need a public education campaign to help elevate our people above the state that so many of them actually exist. We need to include issues like empathy. Some biblical truths we need to introduce. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Remember, we say this is a Christian country, you know. Maybe it's only on Sundays. Huh? That basic truth. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. We are our brother's keeper. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord.
Interesting.
So a lot of work has to be done.
Yeah. Interesting comments there, Dr. Semaj. I gather that we have online Corporal Ruan James as well, Chairman of the Police Federation. Corporal James, are you there?
Good morning, to you and your listeners, to my hard-working colleagues.
Yes, good morning. Yes, good morning. Dr. Semaj is also on. All right. Corporal James, we're talking, of course, about the untimely death of Mr. Chieftain Campbell last week to mob violence. What are the possible legal charges in matters relating to mob violence and mob killings in Jamaica?
Murder is murder, you know, and once the elements are there to substantiate a charge being preferred, then it is that those who are involved, whether or not they believe that by their own action they were never ever, whether you cause a person to be cheered on and you encouraged such a move, then it is possible that you can also be charged for aiding and abetting murder. Because some persons may not even understand that diminished responsibility based on action taken, that they too can find themselves landing before the court because of the simple action or non-action. Every citizen has a responsibility, and I'm hoping that with proper investigation, then the chips will fall where it may, and persons will be held accountable because they are. I'm sure that social media may have a few footages, and I'm hoping that we can just use the footages to see what actually happened. I know that an investigation is on in earnest, so we're hoping that this one will be used to build the cat.
Corporal James, just
you mentioned. Go ahead, Dr. Semaj.
Twice you mentioned the word hope. One of the things that in business I recognize that hope is not a strategy. In your experience, has anyone ever been arrested, much less convicted, for participating in mob killing?
I'm sure that if we should do our research, there is, to the best of my knowledge, one such instance, and in this instance, I believe that there is sufficient footages that is available that officers can use to pursue this investigation diligently.
I'm wondering, Corporal James, we're actually going to break, but I'm wondering, you mentioned murder. What about manslaughter? Is that more likely in this case?
It all depends on the element.
Tell you what, Corporal, I'm so sorry. We're up on the break right now. Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
Trying to plan a family getaway? Fix it. Always dreamed of taking a cruise? Fix it. Kitchen needs upgrading? Fix it. Fixing your financial future is easy with a Sagicor Bank Extended Term Certificate of Deposit account. Open your account today. Save for 18, 24, 30 months or up to 3 years and get guaranteed interest paid monthly or at maturity. Fix your financial future with a Sagicor Bank Extended Term Certificate of Deposit account. Sagicor Bank, in your corner, supporting you. Conditions apply.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this, the first watch, we're looking on the vexed issue of mob violence. And in so doing, we have online Dr. Lekim Semaj, psychologist, founder, chief ideator of Above or Beyond, and Corporal Rowan James, chairman of the Police Federation. Corporal, before the break, you were telling us about the likely charges, and I was asking about manslaughter as a possibility in this case.
The investigator would determine whether or not there is sufficient element to substantiate the charge in court, and so it all redound to the evidence, the evidential value that is recovered to enable the charges to be preferred.
So what's the dividing line of distinction between manslaughter and murder in cases like these? How does one determine which is which?
It all comes down to the act and the rule and the function, and whether or not there was a particular intent.
Okay.
Intent, okay. The intentional aspect of it, that will be the distinction with the reduction of the charge.
Yes. Dr. Semaj, before we put Corporal, you're talking about crowd psychology, role social media, etc. I'm just wondering, in mob violence, is it more so? Is it a gender specific phenomenon, or is it gender neutral? Is it more urban or rural?
My guess would be, first of all, it is more male than female, because since male are more likely to act violently. Remember that 90% of the people who are charged with murder are men. So, violent, physical, and use of weapons and so on is usually has evolved as a male province. Mm-hmm. I would suggest even that it is probably evenly divided in terms of rural and urban. It's a case where places that have low level of policing, put it that way, where persons believe that they have a responsibility to take the law into their own hands. I've heard of a lot of bizarre stories about rural areas where once they catch a quote-unquote thief, they administer their justice. You hardly ever hear about it. And in many communities in Jamaica, those things would happen. Also, you catch somebody and immediately there is quote-unquote jungle justice. So that Jamaica is a under-policed state. Again, I use the word state loosely. Remember, first I defined state is a context where political context where the government has a monopoly on violence. So that we need a lot more policing. The other things that other modern societies have introduced is cameras. If you realize in most modern cities now, the number of cameras in every area. Once something happens, it's only a matter of time before you start to examine the footage from the cameras in various business places and on the street and so on. And you can literally put together all the information that you need as to what happened, the time frame, the sequence, who are the individuals.
Mm-hmm.
We are slowly getting there, but not enough. The decision some time ago as a colleague of mine was somebody who proposed it to the government that we take the tax of camera systems in homes and help people to encourage people to set up camera systems in their home and business and feed that camera system also into the Jamaica Eye project so that there's more footage available.
I'm wondering though, Doc, would that make much of a difference? Because now we have everybody has a camera, cell phone camera, and yet still the wounds are inflicted, the evil deeds are done.
Well, see, but if the feed is available directly to the state, is a different thing. But now somebody will have to post it, and based on the posting it now, somebody will now see it, and you recognize individuals in. And I think the laws requires that you must have a testimony from the person who took the video. The video by itself doesn't stand. You need other components to verify, yes, I took this picture, this was the time, and it was not in any way doctored and so on. So there are still issues that good attorneys can use. But we really need, I'd rather go even further back if we can now. We appeal to the better angels among us. We give too much, we follow the teachings. Well, and I'm sure we do. We say we're a Christian nation, but we don't behave the way Christians are supposed to behave. We don't behave like Christ. Most of our behavior is not Christ-like.
But go. You say, Dr. Semaj, in the minds of the individual. I'm wondering if the average individual, his or her initial intent was to kill the person. Wanted to hurt the person, send a signal to others, don't do this, don't come in our community. Help us to understand what perhaps is going on in the mind of those individuals.
Both. You can hear people, but remember we talk about diminished responsibility. Diminished responsibility. You by yourself would not do anything or could not do anything. But then there are 10, 20 people. You feel empowered. Give me a lick off of him, man. Give me a lick off of him. One more lick, and so on. So that all the pieces now are strengthened. So whether or not you intended to administer a fatal blow, you wanted to actively participate in this process because of diminished responsibility. And many of us are swayed. You see, if we see ourselves as followers, my position when I see something like this, I figure, how do I stop it? How do I deflect it? How do I save this person? Whereas the common perspective, how do I add to this? How do I make it worse?
Interesting you mentioned that. Interesting you mentioned that. Corporal James, still with us?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Corporal. You mentioned something about action vis-a-vis non-action. Now, sometimes the instigator of the crime is not the inflictor of the wounds. How would police officers treat with such a scenario in the absence of the footage?
once it is that we can garner evidence to substantiate that the person did in fact cheer on or encourage, and it can be established, whether by a witness statement, then the police officers can pursue this individual or the individual.
So the crime there is what? If I'm the instigator, I'm the one who jeering and cheering. What am I liable to be charged for?
You can be charged for accessory to the fact or accessory after the fact, based on the role that you would have played.
Oh.
You are not to encourage an act, even such as murder. So once it is that we can find the evidence to substantiate that what your role was, then the Crown would have a definite case against you.
I think that's why Dr. Simaj had asked a question earlier, because the wound that's inflicted that caused the death, that must be very difficult to determine, Corporal James. In a mob killing.
While it is that the persons who play the various roles, it is not so much the fatal wound. It is that everyone who was involved can be charged, and the Crown may then therefore seek to reduce the charge from capital murder to manslaughter. But everyone can be held accountable, and that is where we need to go. Persons need to start be held accountable, and for that to happen, I believe that we are too slow in legislative work, and where you have 30 investigators in another country attending to a matter such as this, we are simply limited by the amount of resources that we have at our disposal.
Exactly.
And I continue to use every opportunity to encourage the state to take this issue of national security seriously by providing the resources to the consular force so that we can operate at optimal levels.
Yeah, fair enough. Dr. Simaj, any suggestions, recommendations that you'd give to those who would have participated in the mob violence and the killings? Some are perhaps experiencing guilt and remorse right now.
Many are, because it was not their conscious intention. They got caught up in the moment and they became part of a mob, part of the process. And many will have to live with that the rest of their lives. The notion, folks, the wisdom traditions, the good book, give us some important teachings. We are our brother's keeper. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. When it comes to strike closer to home, you realize that, you realize who was it? I've actually seen this in face close. Some years ago, there was some in somewhere in St. Anne, a community turned against some JPS workers because they wanted them to install more lights in the area, and they held them hostage and they were threatening to kill them. And I had to work with these people after the fact because the trauma that they went through. I remember one man told me that there's an old woman in the group. He knew her personally. Somebody has interacted with her, and he saw the venom in her eyes when she. And one man actually found a way to escape from the captivity, so to speak. And do you know that after he escaped, he actually went back in because he felt guilty that he escaped, but his colleagues were there. And what they knew these people, but when he saw what the anger with which they collectively became. So we really need to use it as a teaching tool to understand people. We are our brother's keeper. Do unto others as we'd have them do unto us. I mean, you can't treat people like this. It is not acceptable, and we need to go beyond just on Sunday or on Saturday. This has to be something that we teach our children. We encourage pro-social behavior.
Yeah. Corporal James, 1 minute. Any final words?
Just to appeal to citizens to allow for police officers to be able to do their work and stop assuming the responsibility of attacking your very own, and to exercise humility and humanity at the forefront. We have lost our way, but we need to get back to the position where we encourage each other to be our brother's keeper.
All right. Well said. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining us on this program. And of course, our condolence goes out to the family, relatives, and friends of the deceased, Mr. Chieftain Campbell. Our prayers are with them. Have a productive and safe day, gentlemen. Bless you.
You're most welcome.
My pleasure.
Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Apply today for DBJ Recovery Line of Credit or Go Digital Loan to help you find a way. The time by JN Bank Small Business Loans. It is now 7:31. Right here on Love 101 FM, the family station. Will be right back inside the Morning Watch.
Make I tell you about short-term motor insurance from JNGI. You choose what you need, 30, 60, 90 days policy. No long commitment, full third party. Don't park your car, don't walk, get a shotty. So affordable and it's not Coronation Market. JNGI shotty. Country party, we have a shotty. Just insure your vehicle and start it. Roll out with a shotty. Shotty, the short-term motor insurance from JN General Insurance. Available only online.
What would I do without you? You help me carry on, you help me stay strong. Whenever I'm down and can get through, you lift me up again and going all day long. Precious moments we share with you, everything's so right. It's clear, nothing else can compare to the taste that you bring to life. Mom, you're full of life.
Things you can do online with NCB in 10.6 minutes or less. On your marks, go! Open a bank account. Open an investment account. Get a fast cash or pay advance loan. Sign up for our mobile app and pay bills, make transfers, and check your balances. Get pre-qualified for your dream home. Apply for a credit card. Apply for an auto loan to buy your dream car. Visit www.jncb.com/getdigital to get your financial goals moving NCB fast.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's look at the newspapers to see what Jamaican mothers are saying and doing. In the Gleaner, Parliament dissolved as PM Harris fires government ministers. And also we see that Dems, I guess that's Democrats, bid to secure Roe versus Wade falls to GOP-led filibuster. Interesting. Also, Mideast investors eye hotel projects for St. Thomas and Portland. We also see in the Observer, trade unionist says threatening NWC workers not the approach to take. And also in the Observer, Works Minister raps NWA. An attorney accuses Petrojam boss of sacrificing former chairman. Interesting heading there. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. Besides government invention, how can mob violence be controlled? We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Can a child's sickness or disorder affect a marriage? Why would it? What happens when your sick child now causes sickness in your marriage? The Truly Marvelous program To Have and To Hold would like to help you save your marriage. This Thursday, May 12 at 5:30 p.m., join host Colleen Beckles and co-host Pastor Napoleon Black as they take a look at how to stay married when your child is ill or has a disorder. That's To Have and To Hold this and every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
He knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of global crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church.
This is a reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
He knows my name.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Roshane for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp friends answered today's question. Besides government intervention, how can mob violence be controlled? Roshane.
All right. So the first one I'm seeing here from Auntie Pam, she's saying, jungle justice will be controlled when people stop seeing men as a tree and begin to see men as men. That is from Auntie Pam. Another person here, I see a distraught customer here, an NWC customer. They don't have any water over there in Sandy Park. So they're reaching out to their MP, Mr. Delroy Chuck. So that one is not for the Morning Watch, but just putting that one in. This person says, have a public campaign. We are our brother's keeper. Educate citizens on their action to encourage or cheer on such action. What charge can be laid against them? What is the penalty for the crime done? Moreover, we are not the law. We don't have the right to convict anyone. Would we want the same thing to happen to us or our family members if they are not guilty? So that's a question there from my friend, Sister Cherry. So those are the responses we're seeing at this time, Dr. Toussaint.
A mouthful there, and much food for thought, you know, Roshane?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Not a problem.
Okay, listeners, today, May 12th, is International Nurses Day. When the world takes time out to celebrate our nurses. As we recognize the many challenges our nurses face, we cannot ignore the undeniable, enormous, important, and vital roles they play. But still knowing of the challenges, what is there for the nurses to celebrate? Why and how should we celebrate them? But to answer these and other related questions, we have joining us Mrs. Patsy Edwards Henry, President of the Nurses Association of Jamaica, and Miss Ivy Malahoo, President of the Practical Nurses Association of Jamaica. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is a beautiful day to be alive.
Good morning to Mr. Edwards. Good morning to Mr. Toussaint.
Good morning and happy International Nurses Day to you both.
Thank you.
All right, let me begin with you, Nurse.
Thank you.
I'll give you Nurse Edwards Henry. Why is there an International Nurses Day? And is there a theme? What is it?
International Nurses Day is celebrated globally. It is celebrated on May 12th, and it is nurses, 28 million registered nurses across the world celebrating the birth of what we call the founder of new and modern medicine, Florence Nightingale. So today is her birthday, and nurses across the world join to celebrate. And yes, there is a theme. The theme for this year, and for the last 5 to 7 years, we've been using the same stem, which is nurses, a voice to lead. But we add to that every year. Last year, it was a vision for future healthcare. This year, it is nurses, a voice to lead. Invest in nurses and secure rights to global health. And just coming out of a global pandemic, you can understand why it is important for governments across the world to invest in nursing and midwifery. And when we move now away from public health to global health, because we saw what happened with the pandemic. So each person must be able to access healthcare. So we must secure the rights to global health.
Yeah. Thanks for the information. And of course, this day continues to be important. You said 28 million nurses across the world, eh?
Across the world.
Amazing.
And
all right.
Last week we celebrated International Day of the Midwives. So we have 22 million midwives and 28 million nurses. Today we focus on the nurses.
Yes, yes. And Nurse Malahoo, what does this day mean to you and other nurses?
Well, what does this day mean to us? It means a lot. Because, yes, we are celebrating the commemoration of the birth of our modern nurse, Nightingale, Florence Nightingale. And the thing about it, we as nurses, aides, and patient care assistants that work along with the general nurses, we do work along with them. So whatever they worship, whatever they are celebrating, we do celebrate with them because we are in the same trend.
Yes.
Patient care assistant and nurses, we celebrate with her because we know and we have learned and we know from where Nurse Florence Nightingale is coming from, way back when. And with all of that, putting together, coming in the system, the health system, as nurses, practitioners, nurses, patient care assistants, we do recognize what we are up for and what we're about. And we know that it's an awesome and a wonderful profession for us to be a part of. So it is awesome. And we do recognize our mother nurse, and for us as workers together, as staff working along with the patient, we are grateful and we are blessed in such a format.
Yes. Nurse Edwards Henry, at least both of you, I'm going to be asking. I am curious. Why and how did you become a nurse? Begin with you, Nurse Edwards Henry.
Why what?
Why did you become a nurse? I'm curious.
Oh, why did I become a nurse?
Yes.
Oh, that's a very long story. I wasn't interested in nursing at all. I actually wanted to become a dancer. And
a dancer. Did I hear right? A dancer. Okay.
Yes, a dancer. And I'll go a little further to say a go-go dancer. And my mother told me to get some letters behind my name before I do dancing. She didn't have a challenge with it, but she said just get some letters that when you get old you can fall back on it. So I don't have the story of wanting to care for the sick and the dying. I don't have that story. I went into nursing as a second choice. But I tell everybody that I didn't call nursing. Nursing called me. And when I started midwifery at the Cornwall School of Nursing in 1988, the year of Hurricane Gilbert, I fell in love. And to this day, I have my wow. And I tell everybody that when I lose my wow, that's the day when I will stop. But nursing called me. It called me by name and said, "This is yours."
Hold that thought, Nurse Patsy Edwards Henry. You want to hear more about this wow and how you got called. All right, we're up on a break. We'll be right back.
50 and over, get the best health plan as well as fabulous discounts. Visit ccrponline.org today or call 469-1944 and live life to the fullest. The time by CCRP is...
It is now 7:46 right here on the family station, Love 101. Stay tuned.
Digicel, connect with Brata, Theater Kia. Enjoy all your favorite apps and more on Jamaica's fastest network. Activate the Prime Brata bundle for as low as $175 by dialing *147 number sign from your Digicel phone or in the My Digicel app.
All right, connect with Brata. Digicel Prime Brata, Theater Kia. Done.
Scotia Elevate is a new life insurance plan from Scotia Insurance for the big thinkers and go-getters. Stay protected with up to $12 million in life coverage and up to $6 million in accidental death and dismemberment. Plus, enjoy customized investments to help build your net worth. Learn more at jm.scotiabank.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Diane Toussaint, and in this, the second watch, we are celebrating International Nurses Day with two outstanding nurses. We have online Miss Ivy Malahoo, President of the Practical Nurse Association of Jamaica, and we have Mrs. Patsy Edwards Henry, President of the Nurses Association of Jamaica. Not sure about that sound I'm hearing. Still with us, ladies?
Yes.
All right. Right. So before the break, Nurse Edwards Henry, you tell us about this wow factor. How did you sense and hear that call to nursing?
As I said, I came from a family of professionals. Everybody was, bright, and so I was the little one who was a little bit wayward. But they insisted that after I finished high school, my mother insisted that after I finished high school, I should go do something with myself. So I applied for Kingston School of Nursing and got accepted. And as I said, nursing called me and wowed me. And I have the wow till now. And I explained that wow. The first time I saw a delivery, when I saw a baby, a vaginal delivery exit that woman's body, I almost fainted, to tell you the truth, and I was wowed. And to this day, every single time after doing thousands of deliveries, I go all over the country and persons say to me, "Nurse, you were the one who delivered me, or you delivered my son, or you delivered my daughter." I have a nurse at Jubilee Hospital who works at Jubilee, and she called me the other day and said, "Sister, say your name on the birth certificate." And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
So I still have my wow. And until I lose my wow, and a more passionate nurse than me, you will not find.
Yeah. Nurse Malahoo, any wow factors you want to share with us? How did you become a nurse?
Okay, I want to let you know that there all my years I've been to business school, which I wanted to pursue differently. But then I saw this woman. I admired her very much. She was living opposite where we're living, She's deceased now. Her name was Robinson. And one day, even before that, I was offered a teaching job. And I told myself, teaching is not really what I wanted. Even though this position and all what they explained, but teaching was not what I wanted. But then I saw Miss Robinson one day, and she was going to work, and I saw her in her uniform. And I said, wow, I would want her very much to be a part of this group that this woman is. She takes so much pride in herself, and she was looking so well and, well decked out. And I said, yes, I would love to be a part of this group. And one day, I had a surgery done, and one day I went to the hospital and I saw a group of ladies, and we're going further to be to do some exam and test at classroom on the second floor at Cornwall. And
yes.
I was there waiting to see the doctor. And then when I look, I saw them, and I said, I'm going to get up. I just feel this urge of getting up. And I get up and I run down. And when I run down, I saw them and I said, why these people are here? And they said they are doing the patient care assistant training test to become one. As the lady that was there said to me, who did you give your name to? I said, I've not given my name to anyone. I'm giving it now to you. And I gave her my name. And just like that, I went in, I did the exam, and I came out top of my class. And with all of that, then I started, and we went into training for a while and came out. Out of 38 of us, I came in 5th. And we did very well. And I was placed on the ward to work. And I see the condition of the patient. And with all that was happening to them, I said, my God, we need to get up every morning and be grateful for what we have got. And the first surgery I see done, and on the ward surgery, a finger was amputated and put into a dish. And when I went there and I saw it, I fainted. I fainted that very moment, and I said, Lord have mercy, can I manage this? But then and thereon, when I then placed into the nursery and I saw the babies, and for us to be there working alongside and doing what was to be done, when I go in the delivery area and on the other different areas, I said, my God, we are truly blessed. And because of that, I have been working at Cornwall now for going 29 years. And I've not broken my service. And each day I find favor in going to work and doing my duty and do it to the maximum. Because what? We are grateful and we are blessed to be in assisting somebody else who need our help. I remember Florence Nightingale. She, when everybody asleep, she was with her lamp walking around making sure that all was well. And that was a part of our duty way back when. And even now, that's what has been our duty, to ensure that the patients, if they cry, if they make a sound, we look what is going on with them and make sure that they are well to go back to their relatives. So in that realm, I know the war is still going on for me, because each time as I see something, as Mrs. Edwards said, when she saw a delivery first, it takes everything out of her. And it was in the same breath. When I was in the delivery and I saw all of that, I said, my God, how awesome God is to see all of this coming out and coming together. You know? So that feeling and that passion of working with patients in the institution that I am a part of, and with the persons that I work with, I am truly blessed.
Yeah. Nurse Malahoo, what are still with you? What are some of the practical ways in which the average citizen can show his or her appreciation to nurses, would you say? Not only on a day like today, but generally speaking.
Okay, we find that we can give the nurses the hero blessing that they should get, because truly they are heroes indeed. All that work in the nursing system, they are heroes indeed. So persons need to take time out and give them a hero gratitude. Show them that we are grateful for you and what you are doing for us. So I believe that, and I believe again with all my heart that persons need to provide some support system for the nurses. Because believe me, Mr. Dusan, nurses have been going through the whole nursing system. We have been going through it. If it had not been for God, a lot of stress, a lot of strain to make sure that everything is on par and everything is well and everything is put together. The patient is being fed, the patient get a bath, the patients are prepared for the visitation and all of that. When we do that, nurses need to be, they are heroes and they need to be given an hero outlook.
Wonderful. Nurse Edwards Henry, your take on that? What else can we do? Should we do?
A lot of persons don't recognize the work and worth of nursing. Across the world and in Jamaica, they think, nurses are, we just stay at the bedside. But nurses participate in a lot. Based on our clientele and the persons who we care for and who we take care of, we do not expect lavish gifts like some other groups. But what we do is we expect recognition and appreciation. So many times persons do not appreciate the nurse. Understanding is also very important. When I went to nursing school, my tutor reminded us that God made man, woman, and nurse. And a lot of times the nurses, persons don't understand that the nurse is a mother, a sister, an aunt. And we go and we work in extremely stressful situations. You get up, you have nurses who get up every day and work. Can you imagine working in sickness, depression, death, and dying all around you for 8 to 16 hours every day? And you have to be that wife, that mother, that friend to a dying person, that cousin to one who wants a shoulder to cry on. But we do have nurses who are not only at the bedside. We have nurses in policy. We have nurses, myself, in advocacy. We have nurses in regulation. We have nurses who sit on various boards in this country and help, in policy decision making. We just want persons in Jamaica and around the globe to understand and appreciate the work and worth of nurses. Today, International Nurses Day. Reach out to a nurse. Say thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. We know it's like Valentine's Day, when you're saying I love you. But it is our day today. And I will say nothing negative today because today is the day to celebrate nurses across the world. To all the beautiful nurses in the island of Jamaica, happy Nurses Day from my heart to yours.
And so say all of us nurses, we want to tell you how much we appreciate and love you. Thanks so much for the hard work that you do and the service that you continue to exercise for the good of the nation. God bless you on behalf of Love FM. Don't leave it. Want to leave. Want to tell the song for both of you and the other nurses in Jamaica before you go.
And Rev?
Yes.
Rev?
Yes.
I just want to take this time out to say thanks to my group. We have worked immensely and tremendously, and I want to just big up all the patient care assistants across Jamaica and here and abroad.
Welcome.
Continue,
God bless
sir.
you. Right, don't leave it, ladies. We're going to play a little song for you and the other nurses. Stay right there. Nurses, thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information, we'll get copies of this program. Call our production department at 876-968-959627. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Miss Kathy Gale, and our guests. Please join Mr. Stokely Marshall next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I'm Dylan Toussaint, giving a shout out to the pastor and members of the Mona Baptist Church as I hand you back to Love in the Morning with Roshane Douglas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Racine. Have a good
Bless
week.
you. All
Good.
right, things. All right, all the best. It's Love 101 FM, the family station. Trust you are doing well. If you've just joined us, welcome. Stay tuned. I know there's a blessing in store for